I'd like to call the meeting of the Joint Internal Services and Health and Human Services Committees to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back here, Mr. Craig.
Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Motion to adopt.
Second. Support.
Thank you. Commissioners Grow and Romano made the motion and seconded to adopt the agenda. Any comments? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the minutes from August 18th for the Joint Committee of Internal Services and Health and Human Services. I need a motion to accept the minutes.
Support.
Second?
Commissioner Perna and Grote made the motion, or made the motion and seconded it to approve the minutes. Any comments? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next item is public participation. This is an opportunity for anyone in the public to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any subject that's on today's agenda. Any subject on today's agenda only. Anyone from the public wish to speak? Last call, anyone from the public wish to speak? Hearing none, we'll close public participation and move on into internal services. And item 6A, it's agreement with Bentley Systems Incorporated for $56,815 for a variety of software motions. I need a motion to.
Motion to recommend to full board?
Thank you. Commissioner Grow and Lucido made the motion and seconded it to move this item to full board. Jaco?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The first item is one of our regular maintenance items that I bring before you. And this is one for Department of Roads. It is infrastructure engineering software that they use for their department.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 6B is a contract with the city of Warren to make an addendum to the Interlocal Backup Dispatch Center. There's no cost to the county. I need a motion to move to full board.
Motion to recommend to full board?
Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Grote and Lucido made the motion and seconded it to move 6B to full board. Jaco?
Commissioners, the city of Warren and Macomb County are strengthening their partnership to ensure reliable emergency dispatch backup capabilities. This addendum to the existing backup dispatch center agreement authorized the city to upgrade systems at the county's Comtech facility to improve interoperability with law enforcement mobile equipment. There's no cost, as Commissioner said earlier, to the county. It really is about us giving them access so that they can come in and upgrade equipment and so forth.
Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Chair. So does this work both ways, Jaco?
Yes, we
They
have
a backup into Comtech and
Yeah, we
Comtech
have-
has a backup into them.
Yes, we have an agreement with them. So when our dispatch center go down, we can actually go to Warren's dispatch center and dispatch from there, and vice versa for them as well.
Thank
So
you.
that's an agreement that's been in place for quite a while.
That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. So no cost, but there will be a few man hours to go do the configuration change?
Yeah, but that is, those configuration changes will mostly likely be done by their vendors, not by us. So we
Okay.
just have to give them
So their
access
vendors will come to the COMDEC?
to upgrade the equipment, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, I'd like to take the next three items, 6C, D, and E together. A contract with Plant Moran for Realpoint, master service agreement for contract development services program, consulting services, and it's for $260,000. I need motion to move the full board. Support. Thank you, Commissioner Kraft and Romano made the motion and seconded to move these three items to full board. Ben?
Commissioners, good afternoon. Item C is somewhat independent of item D and E, so I'll just do them in order. Item C is a contract with Plante Moran Realpoint for a master service agreement for capital development program consulting services. This contract will serve as a master service agreement for the performance of capital development program consulting services in Macomb County, and will govern the performance of Plante Moran services. Specific consulting services to be provided by Plante Moran will be authorized by a task order and brought forth in front of the Board of Commissioners following the county standard purchasing policy. This allows both parties to agree on basic terms at the outset, which simplifies and speeds up future projects and contracts.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair. But what is the end product that you're hoping to get out of this?
So this is a master service agreement for Plante Moran services across the board. So each task order we would issue is a different item with a different cost associated. Right now, we have one task order, which is next, and that's for the capital and space needs assessment. So this is just getting the standardizing the contractual terms and conditions. So just a standard agreement with Plante Moran. So zero cost on this.
So it's zero cost, but are you looking to get a cost savings out of this?
Yeah, it'll save time and money for sure on both legal aspects, developing the contracts, looking at the contract language every single time we initiate a contract. Yeah. So you'll see that item D and E is a task, we're calling it task order 1 because it'll be the first hypothetically. And that's for the capital planning and space needs service agreement. And that has a cost associated with it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucido?
So I have a question.
Sure.
How long have we been with Plante Moran?
Oh boy, Andy, do you know what time frame? 2014.
When was the last time we went out to bid for this, for these services?
For the
These,
consulting
like,
services?
consultants, yeah.
I don't recall that have we ever bid them? I don't recall any time we bid that professional service.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. Plant Moran was just brought in, though. There was a space, was there a space there, Chair, I think?
For the court is probably what you're thinking of. This space, we did a space, or we're almost complete with this space needs study for the circuit court. And, circuit court building and the old county building.
And when was that time period?
It's just wrapping up now, so it was about 6 months ago.
Right.
Yep.
And we brought them in recently, but they hadn't, they weren't being used by us for finance. I mean, but they had been used for before. We had
Separate
gone to
entity.
a different company.
Yeah, separate entity.
Yes.
Do you want, I have Andy Fountain from Plante Moran here if you want him to clarify how the two companies work, but they're separate entities, sort of.
Good afternoon. Just to clarify, Plante Moran Realpoint and Plante Moran PLLC are two separate and independent companies. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Commissioner Zinner, but I believe that you're referencing the audit and assurance services, which Plante Moran does not perform for the county at this time. Plante Moran Realpoint is a full-service real estate and consulting firm that has assisted the county with various capital initiatives since 2014, since you had experienced the fire next door. And we've assisted on several different studies, consulting assignments, and capital programs.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chair.
Appreciate it. You can, yeah, you're fine.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Mr. Chair, we took those three items together, so we still have to talk about D and E.
Did you want to speak about D?
Yeah, I can do that. Yep.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, item D and E is a contract with Plante and Realpoint for the capital planning and space needs assessment services, and amount is $260,000. This contract / task order is something the county, as well as some members from this very board, have been working on for a few months as we try to wrap our heads around future capital needs in departments outgrowing their respective spaces. This contract includes both space needs assessments for the entirety of the county departments, but also facility condition assessments of county-owned facilities. The intent of the facility condition assessments is to provide a comprehensive evaluation of the building's physical condition, identifying maintenance needs, safety hazards, code compliance issues, to prioritize repairs and upgrades, ultimately extending the facility's lifespan and improving our operational efficiencies. These assessments give us the data for budget planning by estimating costs for maintenance and repairs, capital improvements, and allow us to make good informed financial decisions. They also support strategic planning by aligning our facility conditions with the goals of both this board and the county executive to optimize space utilization and inform decisions on renovations, expansions, and replacements. The space needs assessment service, it's similar to what the county has done in the past with the downtown campus project nearly 12 years ago. We're just wrapping up a space needs assessment for the court, which entails, as I mentioned, circuit court as well as the court functions within the county building. And another one you recently have seen is the results of the Martha T. Berry assessment and facility condition survey. These assessments will evaluate Macomb County's current and future spatial requirements, offering benefits like optimized space utilization, cost efficiency, and improving our long-term planning, identifying our underused or overcrowded areas. The assessment also enhances the experience of our employees through workplace design, sustainable, potentially reducing energy usage by making better use of the space that we're in, and providing data-driven insight for informed decisions on renovations, relocations, new builds, ensuring our alignment with the goals of this county. So both of these entities or both of these assessments will work in coordination with each other. There will be a bunch of meetings that take place to get this done, and certainly at the end as well to wrap our heads around all the data we receive. So this has been an ongoing need, and I'm really glad and happy to move that forward today.
Do you know when the last time we did something this formal?
We haven't done a comprehensive plan that I'm aware of at the county. We've done kind of piecemealed, which were like the court, for example, the downtown campus 12 years ago. Health department, we did one. So we're going to use that historic data and update it as needed throughout this process. So I'm not aware of a comprehensive study or most certainly a condition assessment. I do not recall ever doing one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
We got one more.
Which number are they coming up on? Okay,
I'm coming for D.
my fault. Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I didn't want to vote yet because I'm really excited about this item. I wanted Ben to discuss it a little bit. You all know I don't like to spend money, but I think this is money well spent because I think in the long run, it's going to save us a ton of money. In my time here, as Ben said, I've been here 8 years. We've never had anything like this done, to my knowledge, countywide. And post-COVID world, hybrid, remote, in-house, I mean, we need to figure out where we're at, where our buildings are at, where our staff is at, and then plan accordingly. Because since I've been here, it's been Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid, and you can't do that in this county. The county's too big. We have too many facilities. We need to know what we have. We need to know what needs to be fixed. We need to know what is good, what is not good. And I can't share my excitement enough for this project because I think in the long run, it's going to save us money. It's going to maximize the services to our folks, and it's going to save them money as well. So I wholeheartedly support this. I'm excited that we got to this point finally. Chair Sabatini, Vice Chair Hahn, myself, and Ben's team, and Andy, and the executives team, we've all worked together on this one for a little bit to put this together, and I'm excited to see it move forward. So thank you, Ben. I'm excited for this to work with your team, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Howard?
Hey, Ben.
Hi.
Just because I'm just not familiar with
Yeah.
this, just a couple questions. What's the expected time frame for this?
We have our duration, I believe, is 9 to 10 months.
Yeah, 10.
Oh.
We put it max of
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the cost for the study, is this like on par for what a study of this nature would be?
Do you want to speak to the cost?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the opportunity. So we use different ways to price these engagements. Because the county was able to offer up a couple of different things, we have a finite scope of work. We know exactly how many facilities, we know exactly how many departments that we're going to be working with, and that we're also incorporating historical information provided by Mr. Treppa into the report. This price reflects a discounted rate because we know that we're actually working, we kind of got a head start here. So we feel that the pricing that we've offered here is actually discounted from what I would normally, price for the engagement had we started at zero. I hope that's helpful.
I think Commissioner Romano loves the word discount.
Our shirts were discounted, probably. That's why we're matching.
I like grants.
Yeah. Last question, and believe it or not, I did have 2 residents actually reach out to me on this item. Will this also include properties that we rent? So, like, I believe we rent the 11 of Hoover Health.
We
Center.
own that currently.
We own it. Okay.
11 in Van Dyke.
Yeah, sorry, 11
Yep.
in Van Dyke.
Yeah.
So, do
So-
we own just that unit, or do we own the whole strip?
We currently own that piece of paradise we have there.
Okay.
It's got a unique real estate. It's got a reverter clause, so it goes back to the strip mall owner at a designated time. And it's got a long history. But I do want to say, since you mentioned that, this does include road commission buildings. This includes the space needs for CMH as well. So we're trying to encompass everybody, workforce development. So we're trying to grab the totality of the county, not just my purview is. The facility condition assessment is dedicated to spaces we own. The different landlord agreements and things like that on who's responsible for what in these other facilities is, I think, pretty difficult to manage. So we're concentrating on the county's structures.
Thank you so much. That's all, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. Hey, Ben. Hey.
Hi.
So glad to finally see this on our agenda.
Yeah.
I know we've been talking about this for a while. Hit kind of all the high points, and I know Commissioner Kraft did as well. But, the reason for this, Commissioners, is really that we're addressing every one of our assets with this study. Ben had mentioned good informed decisions. That's what we need in order to make these decisions. Come budget time, through the year. Years ago when we started the capital plan, I think we allocated about $2 million in it originally, and then it went to $4 million, and now it's $8 million. And it's still not enough on an annual basis. Ben will tell you he'll probably need double to 3 times that amount on an annual basis just because of inflation and costs and everything in between. So, this is something that we need data and we need information so that we can make educated decisions going forward and to make those decisions in a wise manner. Because quite honestly, when I just looked at the initial review of this, I don't know how many of you knew that we have 2 million square feet.
We do.
At F&O management. That's a lot of square feet.
Yep.
So, that's why we need this study. We've never done anything like this. We've always kind of piecemealed it, as Commissioner Kraft has said. The Band-Aid approach has to stop, and this is a way for us to address these needs in a strategic way so that we can address them, not today, not tomorrow, but affecting everything through the next 10 years and longer. So we have to be smart and efficient in how we do things going forward, and this is going to allow us to do that. So kudos to Andy, team, executive Delvin back there, Joe and everyone that was working on this, and Ben. This was a team effort, and I'm glad that it's that we're here and starting the process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a 10-month process, so it's going to take us some time. But once we have this, and you guys didn't really kind of talk about the real cool part of this whole project, so I don't want to spoil that, but you can talk about it if you want today or when it's done. But it's really interesting with the presentation that I saw on this before, and I think this is something that's going to really transition into something really neat in how we handle F&O going forward. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, Chair.
Will this study also take into account where departments do not have their employees in the building full-time and where possibly we can do desk sharing or something?
Yeah, it'll take into consideration. So Andy's team, as well as myself, will meet with each of these departments, whoever they designate, and we'll get a real count of how many employees are there when they're there, how often they're there, whatever that may be. Yep. So
I'd also like to see the difference between that and what would happen if everybody was back to work full-time.
okay.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I am pleased to turn the gavel over to Commissioner Lucido, the Chair of Health and Human Services Committee.
Hello, everyone. We are going to start out with item A under the Health and Human Service Committee recommendations, and it's a contract with Catlin Enterprises Pest Control Services in the amount of $10,000. Can I get a motion to recommend a full board?
Motion by Center.
Do we have item 8?
We jumped A.
Oh, I had to skip A. Sorry.
I did it twice yesterday. It's all right.
I'm taking after Harold, I guess. All right, I'll have them come up in a minute. So we are going to start out with our committee presentations. I forgot we have Forgotten Harvest here, and we have Eric, who is the Director of Government Relations from Forgotten Harvest. Can I get a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Support.
All right, I have a motion by Howard and support by Van Sickle. Hello.
Hello, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the commission. I'm happy to be here before you today. When we talk about conditions that adversely impact one's health, chronic hunger has the worst and most significant impacts. So what I'm going to do with my brief time up here today is share some information about hunger and food insecurity in Macomb County, Forgotten Harvest's work to alleviate it, in a hope to, kind of stimulate awareness and discussion around potential remedies. I'd like to start by making a distinction. Every year, the USDA and the Census Bureau conduct a food insecurity survey. So whereas hunger is the sensation of discomfort or pain that we experience when we haven't eaten properly, food insecurity actually refers to the condition of having limited access or uncertain access to food. And it gets broken down into two categories: low food security, which is where maybe the quality or desirability of the food that you're eating isn't quite what you'd want it to be, but you're consuming enough. And then very low food insecurity, which is, basically where you're missing meals or don't know where your next meal is coming from. So in the state of Michigan overall has a 13% rate of food insecurity, and that's broken down, as you see, into 7.7% that have low and then 5.3 that have very low. Forgotten Harvest serves Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, and what I've done is just simply aggregated the numbers for each counties. So you can see that Macomb County is a tick above the state average, but, kind of solidly in the middle between Wayne and Oakland. And then, this slide here shows that, frankly, there are food insecure people in each zip code and every jurisdiction. This would be in Macomb County. This would also be true in Oakland and Wayne County, and frankly, across the country. And so as Health and Human Service Committee members, or with that particular hat on at the moment, I'd like to maybe share some ways that food insecurity is impacting Macomb County. I'm not going to read these to you. I trust that you're all good readers. I'll share with you that I was at a forum with public health professionals earlier this year, and I invited them to share ways in which food insecurity and hunger affect people. And I remember the first woman who spoke up talked about the physiological impacts that hunger has on children. And she said it just, the tone of her voice and the emotion she conveyed was that these kids would be walking around underneath a rain, kind of underneath a rain cloud for the rest of their lives. It made an impression on me. When it comes to adult, productivity and disease, Snickers made a commercial about this. We all know what it's like when we're hungry and not performing at our best. And then it's just common sense that hunger would exacerbate and accelerate, diseases and cognitive function among elderly people. Beyond that, healthcare costs, are significant in indirect sense as well. If we can, provide proper nutrition to folks, we can help them manage their diabetes or their heart condition, keep them out of the emergency room, and the bills that run into the tens of thousands of dollars. And similarly, with with just other costs. I think about remedial education, and we talked about lost productivity already, lower lifetime earnings. The numbers are really quite staggering when you start looking at children that drop out of high school end up costing the state billions of dollars over the course of their lifetime in added food insecurity problems. This is Forgotten Harvest's entire operation summarized into one slide. Basically, we use a fleet of vehicles to rescue food from in the neighborhood of 500 to 600 locations throughout the Tri-County area. And then we redistribute that food to over 220 partner agencies throughout Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. I provided a folder to each of you, and in that folder is a list of all the agencies with which we partner in Macomb County. So you can see which ones are in or near your particular district. And then finally, I'd like to ask for your help. To mitigate a problem, you first have to acknowledge that it exists and be aware of it. And then I'll be the first to admit that this problem is bigger than any single unit of government or nonprofit organization or community group. And so if we're going to make progress on reducing the number of food insecure people in Macomb County, we're going to have to find ways of coming together and finding new ways of working. And then finally, also in your folder on the left-hand side is information about the Food and Other Resources helpline. Applying for SNAP benefits is not too dissimilar from applying for a mortgage. You need to show proof of residency, proof of income, bills, household occupants, kind of the whole 9 yards. And it can kind of be a daunting process when you're doing it through a government website. The Food Bank Council of Michigan trains and employs staff who literally will walk people through that process. And that's important because the very first step after one applies is that within 24 to 48 hours, the state of Michigan calls them back. how many of us ignore calls from numbers that we don't recognize? And so if you ignore that call or miss that call, you are immediately kicked, your application is set aside and you're out of the process. And so just, having somebody tell you, hey, expect a phone call from an unknown number in 24 or 48 hours, helps a lot of people qualify for SNAP benefits. And so in a relatively short period of time, I've covered a lot of waterfront, but I appreciate your attention and your interest, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
First, I'd like to thank you for coming out. I really enjoyed when we sat down and talked to each other, and I think it's important. And what I really was impressed with is the data he had for all the different municipalities throughout Macomb County. And if we all just, even if we just knew other organizations that might be able to partner with Forgotten Harvest to be able to provide those services to people who need and things like that, like just having those connections with the different organizations in your community that might be able to help move this forward to make sure no one in Macomb County is going hungry. We will move on we have a couple of questions, and we'll start with Commissioner Howard.
Hey, how are you doing?
Okay.
A couple comments and 2 questions. First, I just want to say thank you. On your first slide, you talked about 13% of Michigan residents are food insecure, and then you even listed very low food insecure of 5.3%. I used to be in that 5.3%. We used to drive to Detroit to get a mystery meat in a can and a brick of alleged cheese. And so, the work that you guys do, you guys are saving lives and providing hope. And that's part of the reason why I work so hard to do stuff in our community, because I once benefited from services like you guys. And if it wasn't for an organization like you, I'm not sure necessarily that we would have had food on our table. So I want to thank you for that. I also just want to recognize the fact that you identified the multiple municipalities. A lot of times when the conversation around food insecurities, it's relegated to certain regions or certain zip codes. And you've identified there are folks in every single one of our communities that go to bed at night hungry. And so I appreciate that data. And some of that is just access. A lot of us are familiar with the Irish potato famine. It wasn't because they didn't have potatoes. It was because the Irish folks didn't have access to the things, and so food access is a huge part. First question is, in here, have you guys done any studies throughout Macomb identifying food deserts in the county?
We have not. I'm sure that information probably exists in other resources, but we have not done any independent research of our own.
Yeah, thank you. Considering we're headed to the end of the year, what do you guys identify as your biggest challenges in 2025 in regards to helping the community?
In 2025?
Or I guess next year.
Going forward?
Going forward, I apologize.
Yeah, no. Just, the uncertainty that exists, and you lived it, and we have seen need for our services increase. I don't want to speculate as to necessarily why that is, but it's been true. And one of the things that we hear from a lot of the food banks with whom we partner is that the number of people seeking their services is up, in the neighborhood of 20 to 30%. So, rising demand would be, one. And then I guess the second thing is if we keep bringing the same solution to a problem that is worsening, we're going to continue to, at best, get the same result. And so we need to find new and creative ways to collaborate to reduce hunger in the community. And just maybe to conclude on that point, the light bulb came on for me when I saw that 13% number, and I figured out that was, 1 in 6 people. And I thought, holy Toledo, I should know somebody who's hungry. And I thought about it for a minute. And, I thought of 2 or 3 families in my social circle where, they identified characteristics of having low food security. So the problem is much more present and much closer to home than maybe a lot of us think or realize.
Yeah, and I'll just say that thank you again. A lot of folks feel like people that go to Forgotten Harvest or to these food banks is due to a lack of effort or not working. I can tell you, my mom was working 60 plus hours a week when we relied on SNAP and food stamps for our survival. So it's a service that's so needed. And and I counted the folks in this room. That's about four of us. Four people in this room would be going to bed hungry if it wasn't for the work that you guys do, and maybe even greater if it wasn't for the work that you guys do. So thank you.
Yep.
That's all.
Thank you, Chair Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Eric. Good to see you again.
Hello.
Can you talk a little bit about the food rescue program, the 500 plus locations that work with Forgotten Harvest, and is there availability for additional locations to partner with you in that program?
Yes, thank you. They fit into four broad categories. We rescue from growers, manufacturers, processors, and retailers for the most part. And the lion's share by far are retailers. To the extent that there is a gap in our rescue net, it would exist with independent grocers, or perhaps, smaller processors. And so if you have independent, grocery stores in your district and want to put them in touch with us, that would be helpful. One other way that we rescue food is we now have a cohort of 67 volunteers who use their own vehicle and receive safe food handling training from us, and drive a route, usually once a week in their neighborhood. And we set them up with, the Applebee's and the Paneras, and they rescue smaller quantities of food and take it directly to a pantry nearby.
Great. Okay, thank you.
So really quick too, so you just touched on your volunteers. I know we talked about this too, but can you just explain the need for maybe more? Because I think when we met, you mentioned that you could always use more volunteers doing that, picking up it from the local places. Maybe kind of highlight that a little bit so the commissioners maybe know if they know anyone who'd be interested in volunteering.
Yeah, absolutely. As commissioners, you'd be interested, if you're not already aware, to know that the single largest category of waste going into municipal landfills is uneaten food. And so it stands to reason that a lot of the food to be rescued exists, in the restaurants and even in the homes that we all live in. And so the volunteers that drive those local routes probably have the most potential to help us increase our rescue capacity, because they're getting into the nooks and crannies of the community that a tractor trailer truck just doesn't fit comfortably into. And so there's a need there. If you know people in your community that would like a regular volunteer commitment and, would be willing to use their own vehicle, we do compensate for gas, so there is that. Again, we'd be happy to have you put us in touch. Is that?
All right, thank you. Commissioner Haw?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Could you give me a definition of food insecure people? I've heard Commissioner Howard use go to bed hungry. What would be your definition of food insecure people?
People who are either eating maybe reduced quality or variety of food, or who are uncertain about where their next meal is going to come from, or if they're going to, be able to eat on Friday. Is that helpful?
I think so.
Okay, I'll use myself as an example.
Okay.
I had 4 siblings, my dad worked, my mom was a stay-at-home homemaker. With the benefit of hindsight, she had certain practices that were meant to stretch the food budget. I didn't taste a fresh pea until I was an adult. I thought they all came in cans, and it's like, didn't want any part of that. Similarly, as a young married couple, there were weeks where, you know, my wife and I would go to the grocery store on Saturday and there'd be less than $100 left in the checking account. And, you know, we'd look at each other and just pray to God that nothing unforeseen happened. So that would be a couple examples of food insecurity.
Thank you. I can relate to those as well. Secondly, the data, I love this broken down by individual municipality. How was that obtained?
Obtained?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
the
just looking at Roseville here with the population, food insecure people, and the percentage. How was that data obtained?
Yeah. The USDA has an economic research service that partners with the Census Bureau to conduct an annual survey. The results are made available by zip code. And so I had to do the work of, you know, figuring out which zip codes fit into which municipalities, and I was able to produce that summary.
Would you have any idea how the USDA obtained that information?
It's a direct survey, so they're interviewing 2,000 people across the country. I'm not sure of the means per se, if it's a telephone survey or mail, but they, you know, and the methodology has been statistically validated. And so while 2,000 people in a country of 300 million is not a lot, the methodology has been, you know, rigorously tested and validated.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Goike.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you. Harold, just for like Forgotten Harvest, when they do the drop-offs out by us, sometimes they'll take a count on the cars coming and the people. I know that, you know, I've seen the guys out there doing the sheets because of helping on that. And then, because there's a lot of my farmer friends that have the produce. So my question is, how much cold storage do you have now? Do you have enough to maintain for the vegetables that come in this time of year when there's, you know, like all my friends have, you know, more than they can sell. So, you know, they can start, you know, getting, you know, lessening of it.
Yes, we do. We have a 78,000 square foot facility. A little more than half of that is devoted to both frozen, cold, and dry storage.
Is that old Bordine's dairy over off 690?
No, it's a relatively new facility on 8 Mile in Oak Park.
8 Mile in Oak Park, okay. Yep. So, do you see a lot of cooperation, like with a lot of the produce farmers, correct?
We do. You know, the state of Michigan has a Michigan agricultural surplus system whereby there's 12. Last year it was $12 million was appropriated, and it's allocated amongst the 7 food banks in the state of Michigan, basically to buy, you know, what are commonly referred to as seconds or uglies from farmers. And so that's our primary, you know, kind of source of obtaining fresh produce. We also have a farm in Fenton where we'll grow just shy of 1 million pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables this summer.
And that's operated by you guys, correct?
Yes.
That's what I have. What was the gentleman's name that started that? Wasn't he an ex-priest or something?
No, you're thinking of the Capuchin Soup Kitchen perhaps in Detroit. They have Earthworks Farm.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing the two.
No, you know, I'll be honest with you, the Maroon family, you know, allows us to use an old farm that they own, and, you know, we're grateful to them.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for what you do for the community.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming out. It was a great presentation. I'm happy that all the commissioners now have this information that they can take home in their communities and hopefully share and help you out, so.
Yep, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, seeing no other speakers, can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
All right, now we are going to move on to department recommendations. We'll try this again. With a contract with Catlin Enterprises, Pest Control Services in the amount of $10,000. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I wanted to give you a little background about the contracts that I'll be talking about today. Our office runs in a 3-year grant cycle typically. So every 3 years, we have to apply for the grants. We bid out the contracts and so forth. In order to align better with the state strategic plan, they requested that we extend our contracts for a year. So much of what you're going to hear about today is that really an extension of those contracts. So the first contract that we have is to approve a 1-year contract extension with Catlin Enterprises to provide pest control services. Those services help us through our Handy Helper program if we have seniors that are having pest control issues. That's how we address it, and we work with them.
All right. Well,
Any questions?
I see no questions. So can we please vote?
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank
All
you.
right, next we are going to move on to items B through G, which is a budget amendment for Office of Senior Services in the amount of $215, another budget amendment in the amount of $395,389, a contract with St. Clair Shores Activity Center in the amount of $19,500, a contract with Elite Catering Company in the amount of $70,077, a contract with Fraser Public Schools in the amount of $790,000, and a contract with Variety Food Services in the amount of $776,900. Can I get a motion to recommend to full board?
Support Zinner.
Motion by Howard, supported by Zinner. And
Okay.
and you gotta finish us up here.
Yep, so the next budget amendment has to do with moving funds from our congregate dining program over to our Meals on Wheels program. The demand for our in-home delivery of Meals on Wheels has increased, where our congregate dining demand has decreased. So we're allowed to move some funding over, and it meets the needs of our community better. So that's what that amendment has to do with.
Okay, so that was for C?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Howard? Oh, all right. So we'll move on to, you have one on C?
Yes,
Commissioner Zinner?
thank you. So will there still be congregate
Yes.
dining? Just less? Okay.
Yep, we try, fortunately, we're able to move funds around to meet the needs where the demand is, and the demand is more for the Meals on Wheels home delivered. So we were able to shift some of that funding over.
Are you finding you have people looking forward to delivering? I mean, is it a good time for delivery, or people just seem to come in?
I think it's just a higher need in the community, so we have criteria that people need to meet to get home delivered meals, and that is that they're not able to leave the home unassisted. So for whatever reason, due to the aging population, or more people are being hospitalized and then can't leave the home, we're shifting that money over to meet that demand.
Thank you, Chair.
Item D is the St. Clair Shores Activity Center one.
Okay, so I'm sorry, was it the St. Clair
Item D.
Shores?
The St. Clair Shores Activity.
Yes,
Center
so
memo.
this is an extension of that contract that I talked about earlier, that we have a 3-year contract with St. Clair Shores to provide congregate meals. Because of the extension, it's a contract extension, basically.
Okay. you have a question, Commissioner Howard?
Just really quick, a senior who works at a senior facility, she told me that she was being told by some residents that you guys are not allowing folks to enroll in Meals on Wheels, or that they were being told that that is a potential in the future. I'm not sure the details or anything about that. Is that something that you can look
Yeah,
into and just follow up with us?
Yeah, actually, Meals on Wheels is a priority service. Sometimes if, due to funding, we have to cut back, we might cut back on like, dinner meals or weekend meals. So we've been cutting back a little bit on the dinner meals, for some of those individuals, but our priority really is that, those in need at least get that one hot, ready-to-eat meal. And the dinner meals are more, I don't want to say a luxury because that sounds ridiculous, but if we have to cut back, that would be someplace that we would look at cutting back.
Okay,
So
so
that-
as
that's
far as you
possibly-
know, we're not turning anyone away from signing
No.
up for Meals on Wheels.
Nope, at this time, we have no wait list for
Okay,
Meals on
thank you
Wheels.
so
It's always our goal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you want to speak on item E, Elite Catering Company contract?
Yes, so Elite Catering Company is very similar. We have 3 production kitchens, Elite, Fraser, and Variety. So the next 3 contracts really are focused on that 1-year extension to meet the requirement by the state.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on those 3 contracts? Seeing none, can we please vote? Well, thank you very much, Sheila, for coming out today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely,
We
thank
appreciate all
you.
you do on trying to make sure that this program runs smoothly. I know
Thank
that
you.
you're always looking for volunteers too for Meals on Wheels. so-
Always. And if you have time to come out to the volunteer recruitment fair tomorrow, we will be at the Verkulen building recruiting volunteers. I think we have over 50 vendors from all over the community that use volunteers. So we're hoping for a really good event.
All right, thank
So,
you very much.
thank you.
All right, now we will move on to item 10, which is public participation, and this is an opportunity for the public to speak on any item they choose for a maximum of 3 minutes. Is there anyone interested in speaking? All right,
You scared them all away.
I guess so. Seeing no one, we will move on to commissioner comments. And I see no commissioners, so can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Got it.
Romano and Howard.
Where would I find forgotten harvest in our budget?
Motion passes 12-0.